Welcome to the RealTrending podcast, where we speak to the brightest minds in real estate about leadership, business growth, trends, and strategy. I'm your host, Tracey Velt, Senior Director of Data and Content for HW Media. And today I would like to welcome Laurie Finkelstein Reader. She is with a team leader of Laurie Finkelstein Reader Real Estate, Keller Williams in Florida. And her team is ranked number 40 by transaction size and number 45 by sales volume in the mega team category of the 2023 RealTrends and Tom Ferry The 1000 rankings. So welcome, Laurie.
Thank you for that. Thank you for having me on, Tracey. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I checked out your website to take a look at your team, and I just kept scrolling through all the people on it. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your team and how it maybe has evolved over even like the past 5 years?
Yeah, well, I'd love to share that because we've had lots of great growth. And one of my favorite things to do is to share it and talk about it so other people can copy it and go and do the same thing. So I started out as a small team, actually. I was a single agent for a very short period of time. I learned that I was great with people, but not with paper. So, made sure I surrounded myself with the right people. My business has always been very, very, very customer focused, meaning for many, many years, we would self-generate all of our business through past clients.
Okay.
Right. So if you bought or sold a home with us, we would expect that we would do such a great job that we would receive 5 to 10 referrals from you over the year. And organically through a really high level of customer service, our team grew. First it was 10 agents, and it was 15, 20. Over the last, I'd say, since around the COVID era, we've really made that leap from around 30 agents, 35 agents to topping into that 100 agents. And at all times, a large percentage of those agents would be in training. So the numbers look, in terms of like agent count, of course, our really big goal is to get to that 100, 150 contributing agents where everyone is a contributor and their business is growing within our team.
And what areas do you serve in Florida?
We serve the whole South Florida area. Excuse me. We serve all the way from the Palm Beaches down to the south end of Miami. It's a very traditional team, if you will. I actually built my whole business on the MREA book. That's the red book that Gary Keller wrote. And our agents work, we have inside agents that work on the phones. Those are inside sales agents. And then we have outside sales agents that work in the field. And then we have a very amazing, I call them like they're the wheel that makes it go. And that's our staff of around 20 to 25 people.
And so as far as, there are so many different iterations of teams nowadays. I feel like it's evolved so much. I know that Keller Williams has been on the forefront of a lot of that change with their, expansion teams brand and just the idea of embracing teams at a time when a lot of brokerages weren't really sure what to do with them. So tell me how you've seen that evolve. And, nowadays there are teamerages. I assume you work under a broker.
So yes, I am actually, we can call me a teamerage or we can call me a strategic market center. So I actually was that real estate agent that wanted to build a team many years ago. And every broker was like, what are you talking about? They looked at me like I really had some sort of a unicorn thing happening. And I was pretty insistent that I wanted to really, not only did I want to grow a team to impact a lot of agents, but I knew it was the only way that I could leverage my business to help more consumers. So I am basically a teamerage. We are with Keller Williams and I am the broker and I own the market center. And inside of our market center, it's just a team. So if you work here for us, you're not an individual agent, meaning you're running your own business. We're fully supporting you.
Okay. And how have you seen that concept evolve over the years?
It's evolved immensely, which is one of the reasons that I don't know if you know this, but I was with Keller Williams for 9 years. And then I became an independent for 5 years because my company was growing so large that It just wasn't working out within a traditional market center. Of course, Gary Keller and Keller Williams realized over the last 2 years, you know what? We need to make space. We need growth for someone like Laurie Reader who wants 100, 200, 300, 400 agents. So they developed this teamerage, this strategic market center, which now makes it, I'm completely plugged in with them, but I'm also the broker and I own my own business. And I think a lot of people get to a point where they want that and now it's doable.
And you're at a point where you could actually even have affiliated services. Do you do that? Do you have any affiliated services?
I do, yes. We do our own in-house title that we have a partnership with. We are in the process of launching mortgage. So yes, excuse me, pardon me with my cough here and there. We absolutely have affiliate services.
And so tell me how, because obviously running a team is more profitable. It has a better margin than running an actual brokerage. We've done studies, RealTrends has done studies to prove that. But the affiliated services are really important in that journey for the consumer. So tell me your thoughts on that and how you'd like to evolve your team within those parameters or above.
I believe that most large teams, teamerages, we're looking for that end-to-end experience for the consumer, right? And though a team is, I believe, more profitable than a brokerage, the amount of investment in team, if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, right? We have a specialist at every single part of the transaction. It's also very expensive. So those affiliated services are almost necessary at this point in real estate. So it's not optional the way I see it.
Do you use any platforms, like the Livian or some of the platforms offered?
Yes. We use Follow Up Boss and we have multiple systems, but no, we are not plugged into one of those companies that I hear that it's amazing for certain businesses, but that's not something that we have tiptoed into, and no plans on that at any point in time. I've actually considered becoming one of those companies.
Okay. And I think it's interesting too. And one of the reasons that we've found for teams being profitable and they're spending a lot of money on, but they're getting a lot of return is lead generation. Are you doing a lot in that space? And what are you really doing as far as lead generation for your agents?
So when it comes to lead generation, which is probably my biggest passion, is making sure that I have so many different, I look at it a big pie, right? So let's just say there's 10 slices in the pie. For us, the goal is that at least 50% to 60% of that lead generation is coming from us. Self-generated team leads through branding. We brand in so many different ways. We market in so many different ways. And then we also partner with other companies, which is probably around 30, the goal would be around 30%. We're not there right now, with companies like Zillow, companies like Ojo, companies like Fellow. There's so many out there. And I'm pretty particular about who I will partner with. I'm actually not pretty particular. I'm very particular. I do my research. I want to partner with companies that have very similar visions and missions, and that the outcome they're looking for the consumer is similar to mine. Because again, my biggest lead generator is repeat and referral, right? It's that consumer, because look, clients have so many options, consumers have so many options, and they should, right? I don't care what I'm buying, what I'm doing. I'm going to click around until I figure out exactly who I align with. So I am very, very, very much particular about the companies that we get into business with.
Okay. And you had mentioned that not a lot, but that some of the team members that you do have are in training at this point.
Yes.
What does your structure look like as far as that's concerned, bringing on a new agent?
Right. So something I'm really passionate and proud about is just our entire onboarding system, right? So once we've hired an agent, now we only onboard once a month. And we do that to create community and to create collaboration between people who are joining. Because imagine you're about 125 people in your company and there's 10 or 15 coming through, we want them to feel what you should feel when you join a company. You come on, you go through 30 days of intensive training. You're learning everything from every single system in our company. You're meeting with every single department. You are learning in particular follow-up boss. You're learning in particular your scripts and your dialogues and objection handlers. You're attending all of the meetings. We do some in-person, we do some virtual. And once you pass what we would call a scripting test, then we will start to put you into lead flow. Something else that we do is that we have what's called the Elevate program. It's phenomenal. It's basically mentors and mentees. So as soon as you graduate onboarding, you go immediately and you get a mentor. We assign the mentor, and that's something we as a company compensate the mentor for, and it's no cost to the mentee. And they help get them through their first 3 transactions. And we believe when you get through that 3rd transaction, that now you've got the skill set, hopefully, and you've got the confidence to now kind of fly. Now, of course, we have lots of people helping you, but it's really working. And it's something we're probably about 6 months into is the mentorship. And we expect to see a really big lift from that.
Well, and you're in an area where I'm in Orlando, so
Nice.
I do know Florida somewhat. You're obviously in a really hot spot area where you have a lot of people moving, from out of state, different states to that area. Tell me, have you seen that continue to trend, or has your market slowed down much? Talk to me a little bit about the market and how you've really managed through today's market.
Well, I'm very happy to say that it appears that everyone wants a piece of South Florida. I know Orlando is also a very hot market. I've got some great friends there. And, we are still seeing a very, very large influx of people either relocating from the same states people have been coming from, which are typically New York, Chicago, California, Seattle, and Texas. We have about 5 or 6 states where we've got lots of people showing up in South Florida. It's become, pretty expensive to live here. Of course, there's so many great things about South Florida with the no state income tax, and it's still very affordable compared to those states. But definitely our median, home point price point has gone up. We had a really small period where you did not have to compete to get a house, but we're back to multiple offers. I mean, it was just a little tiny blip on the radar. We have a little bit more inventory. We're running at about 2.5 months of inventory, which we haven't seen in a year. But we are busy and people are inquiring. Not like it was during COVID, right? Okay, that was just crazy. That was tough. I felt, even though it was some of the best years, but it was tough. No, it was stressful for sellers and it was stressful for buyers and it was just stressful for everybody. But we are seeing a very healthy market here.
That's great. And Orlando is definitely doing well. We have barely any. I think we only have like about 5 listings in our whole community, which it's a huge community. So
yeah, and I believe a lot of it is, again, it's just, even though it's not as inexpensive as people would used to think about South Florida or Orlando, but comparatively, it's definitely more affordable.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're not paying a state income tax too.
Exactly. And I think also the reputation that our state got during COVID, where things stayed open, people were able to work, I think that actually had a solid impact on the way people see Florida.
Yeah. And so you've been on the rankings for years now, and you've, had a ton of success with your team. So what do you feel like is the key to that? What is your superpower? What do you really feel like has pushed you, along?
Yeah. My favorite question in all the different interviews I love doing, that is the greatest question ever. What is your superpower? For me, it's very basic, Tracey, to be honest with you. I genuinely care about humans, right? I don't care if it's my staff, it's a consumer, a client, it's you, somebody I met, I haven't met. I do believe that when someone signs up to enroll in your world, that you give everything, right? You ask great questions, you understand the other person's needs and wants and desires, and that you focus on relationships. You know, when people ask me the question, they're looking for like this really fancy answer, but it is relationships. I give our business credit because that is our focus. It's part of our core values. It's what we live. It's how we function. We believe that it's our duty to be more educated and ready to help these consumers. And help them in a way that maybe they're not expecting, going above and beyond, doing something that the other person didn't expect and expecting nothing in return can change your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've interviewed so many brokers and team leaders, and the most successful ones are really, they're not transactional at all. It's just always about relationship building with no expectation of, of anything in return.
In our business, think about it. You know, you could spend X amount of time with someone, and you look at it on the surface is that I just invested all this time, but I didn't make money. But if you invested the time correctly, you will make money every single time at some point. Real estate agents want everybody to buy a house and transact right now. But if you just take care of the people, they will take care of you. I'm 26 years in. I've got the same people coming back over and over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I feel like a market like this really spurs innovation. I think it slows people down a little bit because there's not a lot of inventory. Sales might be good, but you're not, like you said, it's not the COVID years right now. What are you seeing as far as some trends, whether it's business structure, or technology? What are you seeing out there?
So I'll tell you that in the South Florida market over the last year, we've been down we fluctuate between 40 and 50%. So sales are definitely not where they were or where they will be. And in reality of trying to navigate this market, what we found is that we have so many real estate agents that stopped doing the activities that lead to sales. Right? They help the consumer, it helps them, and it leads to the sale. We've had to go with a lot of reverse engineering and kind of step back. I coach for a coaching company, and I've had to take some of my biggest teams across the country, and I'm coaching monster teams, and really step back and re-engineer, like what are our agents doing? And what happened was we stopped lead generating. They stopped open house. We couldn't do open house. We had COVID times, right? We stopped nurturing. We stopped following up. It was such a tsunami that we were just trying to stay above water. So it's really been a lot of going back to basics. And real estate agents don't like that. And you see them getting out of the business right and left. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, just people getting out because you have really got to be great at asking the questions and getting on the phones and following up and nurturing, especially when the consumer has this at their fingertips and they can click and will replace you. So it's become, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for our industry for the people who are going to do what it takes, and they're going to actually treat it as an entrepreneur. I'm excited for how our industry could look in another 24 months.
So to me, I've been in writing about real estate for 30 years, I think, something like that. I don't know.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of different cycles. And so, as a writer, the types of articles you write you're trying to be as relevant as possible to what's going on in real estate. So I've been there with here's how to get listings, and then it's handling multiple offers. But I feel like someone like you said you've been in for 26 years, I think you said.
Yes.
You've seen that. And so the prospecting, the basics, they don't ever end. Whereas I feel like a lot of the agents coming in into these boom markets, they've never really learned that.
They skip the fundamentals.
Yeah. And so now I'm seeing that everybody's moving back to that. That's the big focus is, your sphere and prospecting and
Yes.
getting out there and building these relationships and that.
And I will say that this is a 100% skill-based market.
Yeah.
We'll take in, I love to hire agents that have zero real estate experience, but a lot of sales experience. And we will see them plug into the onboarding, learn the scripts, learn the dialogue, objection handle, and just watch them do the activities and make the calls. Organically, they're selling houses, right? But you're right. People got in, especially during COVID. Look, people lost their jobs in so many industry. Real estate was booming. So, I might have done the same thing. But they probably did not receive those building blocks because, like I said, the amount of business was like a tsunami. And we were just, as a company, we were drowning. At that time, I was a Zillow broker partner. We're selling a couple thousand homes. You're just trying to stay afloat. So yes, I believe that we are in a skill-based market. I'm watching it. I have a bird's eye view. The people who they'll be super knowledgeable and they'll study the market. Like, you need to know the market. You need to understand property values. You've got to be able to negotiate. You've got to understand neighborhoods. The people who will do that and make the calls and follow up, they will organically make money and be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about technology. Are ChatGPT has been the talk of the town. Some people are really into it. Some people aren't. Are you looking at that as something for your team or are interested in doing more with that?
When that first came out, I was like, did you guys say chat GCI? Right? So our marketing department actually is using it, not at a high level yet because it's still new to us, but we use it for some copywriting. We use it for potentially writing really nice descriptions of listings. But it is new for us. And we are not yet, I would not say we are the master or that we would teach it, but that we are in the learning phases of that.
Yeah, I see a lot of tech companies, their press releases coming out saying that they've worked it into their product and it's definitely.
I'm now questioning when somebody sends me something. I'm like, was that you or was that your little chat thing, your little GCI?
Definitely. I think there are good uses for it. I think that there, potentially some uses for it that I would not want to pursue or that ethically as a journalist, I don't see how you can turn something in a paid product that, someone pays you to write and it be chat, GPT, but it'll be interesting how that evolves. I want to talk about your leadership and, all leaders have kind of these aha moments. And as you grew your team, you probably had a lot of them.
Oh, wow.
So what is the one that you remember the most or impacted you the most where you had this aha moment and it really changed the trajectory of your business?
Yeah, I definitely had the aha moment. And I would first want to share that my journey of leadership is one that I'm working on every day. I always say my ultimate claim to fame is being so comfortable with failing and messing things up and owning it and getting back up and fixing it. And I think if you want to lead, you better be prepared for that. Yes. But about 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, I was leading a team of around, maybe there's like 20 of us. And just with a lot of introspection and a lot of coaching that I received, I was like, you know what, if I really want to give the people in my world, if I want to lift the lid and raise the ceiling, like I'm going to have to do something different. If I want to be a leader, then I need to be a leader and not a listing agent and not a real estate agent, right? Because you get to a point where they become diluted, right? And I sat down with the people in my world. I have agents in my world 17 plus years. They can't get rid of me and I can't get rid of them. And I said, I feel like I really trust all of you to be on the sales side of this business. How would you feel about me going into leadership and really growing this team and making it to a point where there's just endless, I have goosebumps thinking about it. You have endless opportunity. And honestly, it was a really quick, you know what? We are so ready for that. Of course, they wanted my book of business, you know. Um, but I knew I had poured so much into them that I didn't even need to look in the rearview mirror. And I knew at that moment, you know, if you want to lead, like you got to really lead. I don't take it lightly. And that meant, you know, making sure that I'm in the right masterminds, I'm reading the right books, I'm being coached. I've invested a lot of money in coaching. I'm being coached and I'm willing to fail a lot, right? I had to take more chances. I had to raise my hand and ask more questions. So leadership for me was really, I don't say I was born as a leader. I think I had to really become a leader, and it's something I work on every single day. And I did it initially for those people that were really close to me, right? Because if you want great humans in your life, you better keep raising the lid.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a huge kind of stumbling block for a lot of brokers who are running a small brokerage and selling. They want to take it to the next level, but they aren't really willing to give up their book of business because they might take a hit at the very beginning. They might not, though.
Yeah.
And it's a really big hurdle for a lot of smaller brokers. In the ones who do it, as you found, find more success than they dreamed of. If you would have just kept it to yourself. So,
and I think getting for brokers in that space, like getting super clear on what your mission is. Like, what's the goal? What does it look like in 5 years, 7 years, 8 years? When you get really clear on that and how you want it to look in the rearview mirror, it becomes a little easier. I've never been ever in my life like afraid to take the next step, as long as I was confident in myself that I was doing this for a much bigger purpose. So I'm sure in those initial years, maybe I did take a little bit of a step back. I don't even remember actually, because it's been a minute. But listen, the last 2 years of, let's say the last 18 months of real estate, I mean, a lot of people have just kind of bailed. I mean, it's expensive to run a company like mine, but I'm not here for today. I'm here for a really long time. And again, going back to my whole superpower, to me, it's all about the people. What I do, Tracey, is I focus on the growth and development and bettering lives of others. And thank you to the man upstairs, I'm not losing.
That's great. And it's great advice as well for anyone listening.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to grow something, it doesn't go in a straight line.
Right.
It just doesn't. I mean,
yeah.
That's just not how life is. I mean, I don't know very many things that go in a straight line without some bumps.
Yeah.
So I encourage people who have a passion for the growth and development of others to take the risk, jump in and go with your heart, and know that you're going to fail. It's going to be messy, but most will win if they don't quit. Right. I always figure, like, as long as I'm going, I've never quit. I'm never going to lose. But yeah, it's been a real privilege and an honor. And strangely enough, I feel like I'm getting started, and I'm pretty deep into it.
Well, I guess that's my last question, is just like, what's next for you and your team? You said you're starting a mortgage company
Yes. Well, there's a couple of really exciting things. I am in lots of great conversations with my amazing friend, Gary Keller, who I'm so grateful to him for his coaching and his inspiration and what have you. And our big goal is to be able to expand across the U.S. And it's something that we're looking into. I will not do anything fast. Lots of research. We use data to make decisions. My natural personality would be like, oh, that sounds great, let's go. Right. But I have a great COO and she does everything with data. So, but yeah, I think expansion will be our next big move over the next 12 to 24 months. Still working really hard on our team and, raising standards and constantly training. And just trying to help more families.
Well, Laurie, thank you so much for joining the RealTrending podcast. It's really a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, it's been so much fun. You are lovely, and I'm so thankful that you invited me. So thank you.